Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. Yeah, well, we're still working backwards through the P's, but here's the good news. We're on the PAs, so we'll soon be done with the P's and into the O's. And we know there's not many O's, right? I mean, there's Carl Orff, there's few other people, Maurice Ohana, maybe we'll get to some of him. But at the moment, let's see who we have here. Oh, yes. First, Hubert Parry. Oh, good old Hubie. Hubie was the teacher of the great Donald Francis Tovey and many others. A very serious musician with a real sort of moral ethic to what he did. He wrote mostly oratorios. Bernard Shaw wrote one of his most devastating and humorous reviews on Parry's Job, which was just unbelievably funny, and he just destroyed the poor man. I've heard Parry's Job, and well, yes. Bernard Shaw had a point. You know, those soggy English choral works from the mid-19th century, well, that's why Sullivan was the greatest English composer ever. Anyway, but Parry was a serious guy, and his music is very well made and very conservative and Brahmsian and rather lovely. And when Elgar showed up with his, fantastic technique and uninhibited sense of orchestral color and general emotionalism, if you leave sex out of it, he just wiped everyone else off the map, including Parry and Stanford and those people. They seem to be making a little bit of a comeback. I mean, they've got their boosters in the UK anyway, and they were good composers. They really were, and very serious and intelligent and often interesting. And so here we have Parry's In English Suite, which is lovely. Along this disc also has some Elgar stuff. This is with the City of London Symphonia and Richard Hickox on EMI, now Warner, and Parry's Suite in F, Lady Radner's Suite. And these are all based on earlier music, and they're charming, neo-Baroque confections. It's really, really charming. Then we've got the Overture to an Unwritten Tragedy. Oh, there are so many of these overtures to an unwritten tragedy or prelude to a tragedy. Or I just got Carl Weigel's Prelude to a Tragedy. We're going to be talking about that soon. And then there's that ridiculous Max Reger Prelude to a Tragedy, something, whatever. It's half an hour long of dirge-like gloom. Why do they do it? The Brahms Tragic Overture, but that's Brahms. It's okay. He knows how to do it. Anyway, this is Symphony Number 2, the Cambridge, which is nice. It's a nice, pleasant piece with a couple good tunes in it. And the symphonic variations in E, which are pretty forgettable, actually, but that's okay. And then we've got Adrian Boltz. He also knew Parry and was taught by him for 10 minutes or so. We have Symphony Number 5. This is about stress, love, chaste love. Believe me, it's very chaste. Play, and the last movement called Now, whatever now is. But this is his Fifth Symphony. It's in B minor. It's a good piece. And really, these titles are they're delicately programmatic. Stress, well, it's not too stressful, but it's enjoyable. The Blessed Pair of Sirens is here, the Symphonic Variations, which is a piece that people played a lot, which I also just talked about here, which strike me as not terribly interesting. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just, when it's over, do you want to go hear it again immediately? Well, no. And the Elegy for Brahms, which is very touching. So good music, but I can understand why it got sidelined. It doesn't have that last bit of distinctiveness for all the quality in its manufacture. But still, it's nice to have. So that's fun. Then we've got, what are these two things? Oh, yeah, look at that. Paul Paray. Love Paul Paray. He was actually a solid composer. This is the Mercury Living Presence, the Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony with his Mass for the 500th anniversary of the death of Joan of Arc, better known as the Joan of Arc Mass. First of all, it's missing the credo. He never did a credo for it, which was great, because he got to do all the juicy musical stuff. And the credo could just be chanted or whatever. It's a beautiful, beautiful work. The Agnus Dei is gorgeous. Oh, what a tune. It has 10 times more sex in it than anything Parry and Parry's whole output, believe me. And this is, the performance by the composer. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And here we have the other recording of the Mass on reference recordings with his first symphony, which is a Frankian, conservative Frankian type symphony, but it's really lovely. He wrote a couple symphonies. They're good works. They're very, very enjoyable, not too long, and if you like that kind of Frank dandy sort of school thing, but with less fat on its bones, it's leaner and more propulsive. You'll enjoy this. You really will. And the Mass, of course, is also beautifully done here with the Royal Scottish National Orchestra and Chorus under James Paul. So that's fun to see that again. It really is. And then I've got to reverse these. Wait a minute, or else I've got to put everything back in reverse alphabetical order, which would be a tragedy after I spent a good portion of my life alphabetizing this correctly. And then we have the concert hall recordings. This is Paray as the conductor. This was reissued by Scribendum, and I just keep it under Parry because how would I find it anywhere else? We have Liszt, the Mephisto Waltz, Les Preludes in Mazeppa, the Saint-Saëns, Danse Macabre, and Le Rouet d'Omphale. Oh, that's wonderful. Dukas, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Bizet, the Carmen Suite, Ravel, Alvarado del Gracioso, and La Valse, all with the Orchestre Nationale de l'Opéra de Monte Carlo. If you like Paray as a conductor, your ship has come in. You should get that. It's 2 discs. It's not expensive. Grab it. Or wasn't expensive. I don't know if it is now. Then, Panufnik. Remember Panufnik? How did we discover Panufnik? Well, we discovered Panufnik, most of us, I would think, because he made there were a bunch of recordings of his works on Unicorn. Didn't Yasha Horenstein do some of them? He began life, he was sort of the opposite of Penderecki, although he spent most of his career, I think, in the UK. His daughter is there now, for sure. But what happened was he began as a somewhat more conservative guy and then got wilder and crazier and more avant-garde as time went on, which was kind of a pity because he got wilder and crazier, more avant-garde, just as the wild and crazy avant-garde sort of self-destructed. But his music is well made and solid and well, okay, you have to see if you like it or not as it goes. But it does evolve, so you can sort of work your way into his stuff. Symphony number 10, Autumn Music, Heroic Overture, and the Sinfonia Sacra, which is quite a wonderful piece. These are, except for the 10th Symphony, these are mostly early works. This is with the Seattle Symphony under Gerard Schwartz on JVC Classics. Then we've got more stuff. Oh, this is a wonderful disc. This is on Ondine, easier to find. The Heroic Overture, the Symphony of the Spheres. That's a late work, which is quite spacey, but it's atonal fun, atonal sort of kind of. Landscape and the Sinfonia Sacra. So those are good. Let's put this away. How does it go? It goes that way. Yes, I did it right. Then there was a whole series of Panufs on conifer classics. And here they are. The Violin Concerto, the Homage to Chopin, which is, homage to Chopin. It's Chopin-esque. In his Bassoon Concerto with various soloists. The London Musici under Mark Stevenson. And his 9th Symphony, Symphony of Hope, Sinfonia della Speranza, his Piano Concerto with Eva Poblotska, and the London Symphony conducted by Panufnik himself. And the Sinfonia Concertante for flute, harp, and strings. The Concertino for timpani, percussion, and strings. That's fun. I have a friend of mine who played that and had a blast with it. She was the timpanist in it. And a piece called Harmony with the London Musici again. These are all on conifer. And then we've got 2 more to wrap things up in a very Panufnik-y kind of way. First, this is the Homage to Polish Music on Naxos. Panufnik's Old Polish Suite for String Orchestra, the Concerto in the Old Style in Modo Antico, the Jagiellonian Triptych for String Orchestra, old Polish music, divertimento after Janowicz, and the homage to Chopin again. 5 pieces for flute and string orchestra. This is all very, very easy to digest and well-made, attractive music. It really is. It's fun. And last but not least, the disc that started it all. Here it is on Unicorn. I was right. I remembered it, of course. The tragic music, the autumn music, the heroic overture, and the nocturne with the London Symphony Orchestra under Jascha Horenstein. Yay! Coupled with the Sinfonia Rustica, which is another lovely work, the Monte Carlo Opera Orchestra under Panufnik himself. Now, the problem you will find, I think, in listening to his music is that it tends to be kind of static. Even the stuff that's supposed to be moving, I find he writes in Brucknerian sort of block things, and you have to get used to that. But there's a lot of very interesting sounds, and his music is very tightly organized, and he's worth giving a listen to. There's a complete Panufnik symphony cycle on, I think it's on Hyperion. I have it. It's upstairs. I know it's up there. So that's something to consider as well. We haven't much talked about Panufnik, and maybe at some point in the not too distant future, or the very distant future, depending on how things go, we may have the opportunity to do more. I don't want to make a big deal about him unless I can play a lot of excerpts so that you can actually get a feel for how it sounds. And until the copyright issue resolves itself more, favorably, I can't do it, much as I'd like to. And it's obnoxious because it's only promoting these people who are making records of stuff they can't possibly hope to sell. But hey, it's their choice. It's their loss. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.